All right. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. My name is Issa White, and we are here for our Autumn Cohort series. Today we have a treat. We're going to be talking about our CompTIA core certifications. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat below or comments, and we'll be sure to get those answered for you. As I mentioned, my name is Issa White, and I am the Program Director for the Austin Urban Technology Movement. And it is a joy to be here to be able to share our programs in partnership with some organizations here in the Austin area and make sure we are able to provide those resources to you for you to join those programs and get those certifications. A little bit about Autumn. These are our key focuses in terms of exposure, workforce development, building your social capital, and advocacy. Essentially, all these areas, depending on your approach with Autumn, whether you're looking for workforce development or you're seeking to advocate for us and help us get our petition approved, and as well as sharing exposure and building on the social capital and getting the word out there about the programs we have to offer. But today we're going to focus on those boot camps or those certification program courses and share with you how to get started, what you need to do to prepare, and also how that can benefit you in your tech career. So as I mentioned, we have our Texas Technology for All petition. Essentially, this is our way of making sure we're able to provide all the resources and make it so that it is a standard that everyone has connection to the technology industry as well, the technology industry as well. So that is providing internet access, distributing computers or devices, and then providing digital skills. So for example, today, our presentation will be one of the examples of how we want to make sure that providing digital skills and professional, technical and non-technical curriculum and certifications it's ready and available to those who want to use those. So check out our petition on change.org and make sure you sign, spread the word, and if you want to submit a donation, monetary donation, we are accepting those as well and appreciative for anything you contribute. So as I mentioned, those who are seeking workforce development and want to get in those boot camps, those who are participating in that side of our organization, we consider those people Automites, and those people are actively and consistently participating in the hard skills. So that's, some of the certification courses and training. We have our soft skill section where we're focusing on those professional development skills, communication skills, making sure you're getting those resumes tightened up and getting yourself in the door. Autumn Horizons, which is a program that we share time during the day where professionals in the tech field, whether they're technical or non-technical, are able then to share their career and their experience and how they were able to achieve their accomplishments and get into the positions they're in, and provide a name and a face to the students who are participating. Mentorship and volunteering. We want to make sure that we are providing ways for you to give back to the community, as well as ways for you to connect with the community and the tech community. And so when I mentioned, those who are in technical positions and those who are non-technical positions, we have a slew of people in our community, in the Autumn community, that want to make sure they are providing their time and talents to share their experience and advice in the areas, occupational conversations and just general life and career conversations. And then last but not least, we have our networking and events. And so events such as this, our series for our cohort series, you're able then to not only learn about the cohorts that we have available for you to participate in, but you also have the ability to communicate with the individuals who are presenting and get a little bit more insight into the career that they're representing. So today, I want to bring to you Austin Freenet. We have 3 individuals here who are going to be representing Austin Freenet. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is John Fierro.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Andres Giraldo. I'm one of the IT instructors here for Austin Freenet.
My name is Memo Espinoza. I'm one of the instructors for the community here at Austin Freenet.
And these guys, basically, they represent the Accelerate program under Austin Freenet. And so we're going to get into the weeds about how to join that program. What does it mean to have a CompTIA course certification, and what you can use that certification in, and how you can project your career through the tech industry. So, first question for you guys. What kind of candidates are a good fit for your program? Are we looking at students? Are we looking at professionals? What's overall a good candidate to join the program and get started?
I'd like to take care of this one if that's okay with you, John.
Sure.
A good candidate for this program is someone with a computer background. Like, you need to know how to use the basics of a computer, where the start button is at, how to check emails, how to sign up for portals, and just do your basics day-to-day computer surfing. As far as additional requirements for the program, I would say just a desire to learn, a desire to improve yourself, a desire to really get you to basically do the work that is required in order for you to basically get the certifications that you will get from this program. So this program could potentially change your life. It could potentially make your living situation a whole lot better. It could definitely put you to a better place. And the beautiful thing about this program is that even if you graduate through this program, like, it doesn't end there. It just continues. The IT field is great because you don't have to go to a 4-year college if you don't want to. You definitely do have the option to, with a simple certificate, can take you a very long way, and it can potentially set you for life if you make the right moves. With that being said, it doesn't come easy. You do have to read. You have to prepare yourself. You're gonna have to want this. So your commitment to the program and your ability to stay positive and continue to study is what will be the defining factor on how far you will go in your career.
Okay, and quick question in terms of the requirements. Essentially, besides having some tech background, as you mentioned, and wanting to complete the course and be successful, are there any specific requirements outside of the application process that might be necessary to complete the program?
Yes.
Go ahead, John. Actually,
Yeah. So on our website, austinfree.net, under the Accelerate page, we have a list of eligibility requirements, and these are. It states participants must qualify as low income status as defined by a total household income less than 200% of the poverty level amount. And that's just fancy word of saying you need to make under a certain threshold in order to be considered. If you make, and this is one individual, their combined income. So if you live in a household with other people, they're not applying, but you are. So we're not considering their income. If you make over the threshold, we do have a sliding scale available to admit students who earn more than the threshold that's set on our website.
Okay, thanks for outlining that information. And so essentially, if I were to join, if I knew nothing about tech, I mean, I know how to work a computer and I can get on the internet, but if I knew nothing about any of the technical things, and I just want to join a program to kind of get started, this would be the great program for me, right?
It would, but it's not for everybody. It is quite a bit of information to absorb and to comprehend. And there is a time commitment to consider as well. The classes are 4 hours long, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Right now, we just have some evening classes, but we're looking to get back into day and evening classes. What we found is you're going to want this. You're going to need to want this and commit to it. Otherwise, it may be too daunting. It may be a little overwhelming. It just depends on your background, and each student is different in how they learn and what they already know when they apply and join this class. So we take, to kind of harken back to your first question, students. You have to be 18 years old, but you can be 18 and above. We just had a student who is in his 70s, and we have very young folks. You don't have to be an IT professional already to join. You just need to have a certain level of background and a desire.
Thank you. And to talk about the class details, you mentioned a little here. So basically, we're meeting an instructor-led course, right, on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And depending on which class you're in, you'll have your start date. So throughout those 7 weeks, if are there any stipulations that I need to be aware of when it comes to attendance? Is there any other maybe coursework that I could focus on while I'm preparing for these courses? What are some of the class details?
So I believe we have a minimum of, you can miss 2 days per course, but we are flexible. We understand that life gets in the way sometimes, or things happen. So just as long as we have a good communication with our students, if you're just not emailing your instructors and you're just checking out of class, that's one thing. But if you're emailing your instructors and saying, hey, this came up, I'm really sorry, and we're willing to work to a fair degree to keep students in the class. We just want to make sure that there's a certain level of commitment from the students.
And if I were enrolled, let's say and we'll get into the names of the classes here, folks, but if I were enrolled into, the IT fundamentals course during the daytime, does that mean that start date, does that apply for the night class as well? Could I flip between the day and the night classes, or am I just doing day classes and just doing night classes?
It would most likely be a situation where you would be, if you enrolled in and were participating in the day class, and then say something drastic happened, your schedule changed, or maybe you got a job or whatever. And a big and, there is a dual ITF class at night. We could certainly make a transition for a student. There might be slight, differences in the way the instructors teach or where they're at, in the book or with the material. But in general, once you sign up for the day or the night class, you pretty much will ask you to stay with that unless circumstances dictate otherwise.
So essentially, the start dates for the day-night class could vary. It could be different based on each class.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We're about to start a nighttime ITF class, and then in May we're going to have a daytime ITF class.
And all these dates are listed on your website, correct?
I believe we have all of the dates listed. We may need to do a little bit of updating on the dates themselves.
That should be updated. The only one that it hasn't been posted has been the day class for the ones in May.
Okay, great, excellent.
So if I know that, if I see on your account on the website that I'll go back to the IT fundamentals example. Let's say you're on that, that 5th week for the IT fundamentals class, and I see that you started, obviously 5 weeks ago. How far in between the classes is there a break until the next ITF class starts? Should I expect, a week or 2 weeks? Does it start right after that 7th week?
We usually have around 2 weeks between classes.
Okay.
In this 2 weeks is the period that we grant the students to basically have any additional time to study than they might require, and for them to schedule their test.
Okay.
And if for any reason they need to retake it, we do sell retake vouchers at a discount rate. So that would also be an option if for any reason if you got close to passing your exam and you want to give it one more shot, then you can do that in this 2 week grace period before the next class starts.
Yep.
Good. I'm glad you brought that up. And so we mentioned that there's an application to fill out to make sure you meet the requirements. And then there's an accelerate registration fee, and that applies no matter if you're meeting those requirements, correct, for the application? It's a straight $35 fee for everyone?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Okay.
once you get approved for the program, then it'd just be $35 and gets you into the program.
Could you go through the differences in the types of certification courses?
Sure.
We have. Okay.
And just to circle back on that fee, that $35 gets you into the course. You get a one-time voucher for each of those certifications, and then as Andres so kindly said, we offer discounted rates for second and third. It depends on if the student has the wherewithal and the financial wherewithal to test out. And then you get your books included and online resources included. And then obviously instruction as well. So it's a very good deal.
Yeah.
Andres, did you want to go over the certifications, or you want me to?
Yeah, if you want, I can take over them.
Okay.
So we start out with the IT fundamentals. The IT fundamentals usually gauges where you stand in the world of IT. Even though it is called the fundamental test, is far from easy. It's quite challenging. It starts out real slow with like, this is where the start button is at. This is where located. This is how you this is how your internet browser works. And then we'll jump real quick to programming, or we'll jump into other IT subjects. So even though it's called fundamentals, it does have some very good knowledge there, and it does create the foundation for the next classes that are to come. You get introduced to a lot of jargon, vocabulary words that are going to be repeated over and over and over in the program. So then after you get your IT fundamental certification, you jump over to the A+ certification, and the A+ certification is divided into two separate classes. You have Core 1, which is basically just getting to know the computer. It's very tit for tat. The definitions is a big thing for the Core 1, and then Core 2 will be what is known as troubleshooting section. Core 2, you'll start learning about troubleshooting and how to solve certain scenarios. And then once you actually take the test, you'll notice that the differences between one another vary from being mostly definition terms and then actual troubleshooting. Once you do pass Core 1 and Core 2, then you will obtain your A+ certification. So you do have to pass both the Core 1 and the Core 2 in order to get the A+. But once you get the A+, this is where you get your chance to shine. You get to start applying for jobs and telling them, hey, I have this really sought after certification. You'll be surprised how many jobs are out there looking for the A+. And the great thing about it is it's not just solely for like IT purposes. You can go into any customer relationship role, and if you tell them you have an A+, it will definitely help you, and it'll definitely put you on the top list as far as callbacks or getting hired for the job. Once you have the A+, then you move on to the Network Plus, teach you about networking. And then after you get that certification, you move into Security Plus. Security Plus is where I call it where the fun starts for me. It's a little bit challenging when it comes to the cryptographic section, but aside from that, you're talking about viruses, malware, different traps here online, and that's actually pretty exciting. And depending on where you see yourself in the IT world, you can continue to grow from that. So it doesn't have to end with this program. You can continue to take IT classes and enhance your knowledge and your income as well.
Before we get to the second question, or the second set of information, how often do you need to renew your licenses for the certifications?
That's a good question. CompTIA, and once you receive a certificate from CompTIA, that certificate is good for 3 years.
Okay.
Once you do pass, for example, if you receive your ITF certificate, that'll be good for 3 years. But the moment that you pass a certification that is above the one that you previously had, it automatically renews. So if you take if by the time that you start with the ITF and the time that you're done with the Security Plus, whenever you do get your Security Plus, it will renew, and it'll be 3 years from the last certification that you have.
So if I take Security Plus and I pass that exam, you're saying which one renew with again?
It will renew all of them.
It renew all of them. Okay, so it's just kind of like a domino effect.
All of them start fresh with a 3-year duration. If you continue to take and pass the next level up, it resets all of the previous certifications. And
so if somebody were to take, let's say, another program, another like IT support related program, but that program does advertise that it prepares them for the CompTIA A+ certifications, does that person need to take the IT fundamentals? Are they like a la carte, or do you have to take them in a certain step order?
Yes, you definitely need to take them just as Andres laid out and how they're laid out in the slide. IT fundamentals, A+, network, and then security. There is an option, say, due to scheduling conflicts or are issues with class or instructors. Say you have a student that passes Core 1 in the A+, but the next Core 2 class for some reason is pushed back 2 or 3 months. They're not. They would like to keep moving forward. We would then provide an option if they feel like they're ready to do so, is to test out. We don't really recommend that unless, but it's based off of certain criteria and discussions that we have with students, and then we'll give them they'll have to take the preliminary AFN exam, and if they pass that, we'll go ahead and issue their free voucher for the Core 2. And if they pass it, then good for them. They passed it, and they basically won't have to attend the class, although they could if it rolls around. It's up to them.
So essentially, it's a test out of a program or a test out of each course. Let's say if I were to start and I for some reason knew enough to pass the CompTIA A+ or Core 1 exam, I could go ahead and test out of the ITF first, and then take the either take the class or take the exam for CompTIA A+, correct?
I believe we're trying to get the students to participate in the ITF class because it is basically the gateway for this program, and our reporting numbers are widely based off of the ITF class. So basically, we try to explain that to students and say you're going to need to take ITF, and then after that point, if based off of circumstance, they request to test out, we'll talk to them about why they want to test out and get their explanations and get their reasoning and try to get a fair understanding of where we think they're at knowledge wise, and then if we feel like it's something that's worth doing, we'll administer the prelim test, and if they could pass that, then they'll have a green light for the voucher.
Okay, good. You just want to make sure you're not, essentially, wasting the voucher. You want to make sure the person is ready for that test, and that they, essentially, when the goal is to pass it the first time, right?
Correct.
Right.
Because
get that.
If the vouchers, the price, obviously they're free, the very first one, but and then obviously we give you a discounted voucher, second and third. But say if you weren't a part of this program and you were just an outside person and you wanted to purchase a voucher, ITF is around $150 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then by the time you reach Security Plus, it's almost $400. So just as you mentioned, it's definitely not. We don't want to just give these vouchers out and have students not be prepared. They're going to be disappointed. And then especially even more so when we tell them, well, for your second voucher, you're going to have to pay out of your own pocket.
Right. Definitely. I mean, you're trying to, maintain your resources. And so that makes sense. Thanks for explaining that. And so outside of participating in those certification courses, what other, what do they need to be involved in to make sure they pass the overall course for Accelerate?
Okay, so on the last bullet point, we do have an internship requirement, and basically it's essentially just 2 class periods because the classes are 4 hours each. So we ask the students to come in, and we try to get them to come in together because it's more difficult when one student shows up one day and another student shows up another day. So we'll have them come into the building here, and we'll assign tasks for them that we think are related to the material that they're working on, give them some hands-on experience. And then once they've done that, we mark that down and they're good to go and continue with the class. Okay.
And so you have an internship per class or per certificate, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And so does that mean 8 hours for the A+, or is that 16 hours for A+?
I believe that's 16 hours.
Because there's 2 separate classes for Core 1 and Core 2.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. And so as y'all see there, we have autumn participation, what I mentioned earlier, as they automate the soft skills opportunities. We have courses on our application. We also have courses that you could take once a month. And then that's with an instructor. There's also the networking and events to participation, as well as the mentorship matching volunteering, and all of those, like I said, make you a active automite. And the goal is to keep you in our ecosystem so that not only you're taking the courses and you're passing, getting certifications, but then you then have the skills to then convey the messaging when you're in your interviews, when you're having your conversations, when you're networking, you're being put in front of people who are employers or have a network of employers that are seeking roles. So we just want to make sure we provide you with, like I said, that ecosystem to then put you into the tech field prepared. So what's next? So I know you guys went through the program yourselves, but what are some of the most common outcomes after people complete their certifications?
It depends on which what certification level
Right.
you reached. Usually, so first you have to really ask yourself, where do you want to go as far as this program? Are you in IT because you want to know everything about computers and you want to like really just take this to the highest level as possible, or are you looking to better your life? Are you just looking to have a job where you have a good work-life balance, where you see a potential future? So you really have to just distinguish where you're taking your career at. If you're looking to work at a nicer place, have good life balance, and then somewhere you could potentially grow, then you can take the A+ and run with that. You can completely take that. And I've seen people, and some of the, and when I was in the program, they graduated from the A+, they were still studying, and then they got offered a job, and that is completely fine. We all need. We're all here because we need money to survive. So definitely, if you get handed an opportunity to go work somewhere, you could always come back to the program at a later time. And so a lot of people, when they get their A+ and they get offered a job, they might just go ahead and run with that. Some other people decide to take the job or continue the job they're at and continue their education. So it really just depends on where you go. But I have seen some really good success stories.
That's and why are you mentioning, getting a job and deciding between the course and the job at the time? Is it common for people to have a job during the daytime and then taking these courses in the evening? Is that common for you guys?
Yes, I've dealt. I myself was working around 50 hours a week and studying around
Mm-hmm.
6 hours on the weekends
Mm-hmm.
to make up for the time that I wasn't studying during the week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some students have part-time jobs, some have full-time jobs. It really just depends. Some students have a job and also have children at the same time, so that could also add a stress. So it really just it's possible to do it if you have a full-time job. It is possible to do it if you still have children. However, it is going to be a little bit more challenging if you have more responsibilities. So, but yeah, you can, if you're good at if balancing it out, it could happen. You could definitely pull through.
Okay, thank you. And then, so what are some of the job positions that are filled once they complete the certification?
If you get once you get the A+, one of the most common, one of the first things that I want to make is once you get the A+, you really want to put your foot into the door. You really want to like start out your first IT job. So your first IT job, you most likely going to be in some sort of customer relationship facing environment. So you might be you can take a job at a call center where you one of our recruiters that we usually partner with. It's with the state of with the state of Texas. It's for Texas Health and Human Services, and they usually offer our students opportunities to work for their help desk department. I personally work there, and it's a really great opportunity if you decide to that you like that job and you want to work there full time. You can potentially be a full time employee there, and as you know, the benefits working with the state are great. So that's really where you might want to start at. You might want to start at some sort of some sort of customer relationship role, and then work your way up if you wish to continue expanding your IT career, or if you feel that this is something that you're happy with and you want to stay here, and then you want to stay with the state, and you want to maybe work your way up to a pension, then that's an option as well. So this is just an example of some of the jobs you might be able to get.
Okay, that's good. And so what about for those who are they're already working maybe like somewhere in tech, maybe they're doing like customer service or something that's more like you said, customer facing, and they get a role or they get a certification. Is this a good way to get a promotion? Is that the same company, or is it ideal to look for specific roles that are tied to that certification? What is your opinion?
I would say that would depend on your employer. As you get these certifications, you kind of do expect a pay bump. And it just depends on your employer. If your employer is willing to recognize your certification, see if it might be applicable to the current job that you're doing right now. It might not be. In my experience, you're always going to get the best pay offer when you switch to another job because you're coming in fresh, you're coming in with a brand new resume with new skills. So in my experience, that's usually when you get the pay raise, a pay raise. But it also depends on where you work at. Some places, if some places that are like, if you're already maybe working an IT job or you're working some sort of tech related job, they might recognize it and tell you like, yeah, keep on getting these certifications and we'll continue to give you a raise or whatever the situation may be.
Awesome. And so in terms of networking with the employers that you mentioned, is there like a set of employers that you have connections with already? Or is there, I guess, a common set of employers that your graduates tend to join after they finish the certification program?
Yeah, we had a good amount of emphasis on searching for recruiters to for job placements. We don't specialize in job placements, but we do what we can to help our students. Like I said, the most successful recruiter that we have has been at GTS, and we've worked with them in the past to basically assist the students that are interested in a help desk role to find a job there. And they usually are always on the lookout for talent. So that's been, we have really good luck in that sense. But like I said, our emphasis is not job placement as much as we want to find a job for all of our students. We are limited to that in that department.
Okay, and what is some of your work that you do with Dress for Success?
Do you want to take that one, John?
Yeah, so essentially what we've done with Dress for Success is we added, they were requesting some refurbishing on their devices. And so we had a number of, I think about 15 devices that they sent to us, and they went through our refurbishing process. And as soon as we were done, we notified them. They sent someone back over here to pick them up. And to all intents and purposes, it was a success, and they're very excited about that. We're also looking to, as with Autumn, look for, because we know that they specialize in career development with women in the area, and hopefully potentially see if any of their clients and or employees are interested in participating in the Accelerate program.
Definitely. And I think that this program today kind of speaks volume to that, to making sure that, we're not only getting our Automites interested in the Accelerate program at Austin Freenet, but at the same time, when it comes to, landing those jobs and looking for those roles, we do have our own job board, as well as we have a network of employers on our end as well. So thank you for that.
Sure thing.
And so now I want to get some of your experience while you're in the program. So we can flip sides of the coin, we're not instructors. Let's look at it as, when you're going through the program, to what your experience was like, and, kind of give our viewers a sense of what to expect. And so essentially, how did you learn about AFN Accelerate, and why did you join, John, or anybody on the panel?
So I learned about AFN, and it was to be a little bit of luck and a little bit of effort on my end. I was looking for jobs, and I was also looking for education because I have a fairly long history with working with computers, but maybe not in a professional sense prior to joining AFN and becoming a student with Accelerate. I built my own, gaming computers, and worked with, family members, was one of the go-to, family members that can help with setting up a computer or network issues, things of that nature. And so when I was doing some web searches, I just happened to stumble across the AFN website, and lo and behold, they had a nice big, graphic for the Accelerate program. It looked interesting. I clicked on it, read about it, and then went through the application process.
Awesome. And overall, with your experience with the cohort, I mean, clearly it was successful, but what would you share about your experience during the cohort? Did you have any, challenges throughout the program that may have come up that you had to overcome, or maybe some areas that you want to highlight during your experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my overall experience was, I would say, positive. I didn't know what to expect, and I was pleasantly surprised that when I started attending class, this was in a previous location. We were all in a fairly small classroom, and with the instructor right there with us. So it was, we had a fair amount of people in the class, but there was still plenty of room, and the confines made it more conducive to learning. And so I was pleased with that. I was, like many students, not really prepared for the amount of studying and reading and comprehension that I ended up, having to do. I never got to a point where I wanted to drop out, but I was thinking to myself, what did I just get myself into here? So, yeah. And once you get a feel for it, you start to realize, okay, as long as I stay up with my reading, as long as I can, maybe leverage some third-party resources like Udemy or go online and look for Professor Messer videos on YouTube. There are resources online that you can use to supplement the material and things of that nature. And it wouldn't hurt to also have, some computers laying around, like maybe not one that you want to potentially that's valuable, but one that you can kind of tinker with, a laptop or an old desktop, maybe some networking equipment. The more hands-on and the more hands-on that you can do will only pay dividends down the road with your actual reading and studying.
Definitely. Every little bit that you do, every little bit that you study, even if you only have 20 minutes, 30 minutes to study, every little bit counts. And it's once you have those little bits every single day, whether like you have 30 minutes in your lunch break to go study, use those 30 minutes, study when you get off right before. If you live in a very busy household, maybe that once you step inside your house, maybe you have kids, you have a wife, or whatever the situation may be, take 30 minutes studying the car, 15 minutes. All those little bits and pieces here and there are going to add up, and they're definitely going to be the difference that's going to basically that's going to allow you to pass. One beautiful thing that you learn about this program is the confidence that you'll have in yourself. So when I first started this program, I wasn't very good at reading. English is my second language, so it takes me a while to digest information. Sometimes I have to read things like 2 or 3 times versus when somebody just reads it the first time and gets it. So I was always been a slow reader, and when I saw a book, I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna memorize everything in this book to pass these exams. But you'll be surprised. Like I said, like you study 30 minutes here, you study 20 minutes there, you study for an hour, maybe 2 hours. Eventually, you become really good at studying. You work your way up, and it turns out to be a lot easier than you think. It's just a matter of making it as appealing as possible. If you never studied before and you say, I'm going to study for 4 hours, it's going to be a very not a good experience for you. But if you say, I'm going to take 20 minutes out and study as much as I can in 20 minutes, and then you're building good habits, you're building encouraging behavior that is going to feel good about yourself, and eventually all these little things are going to build up your personality, and going to build up your new set of habits, and they're going to definitely create the foundation for any other subject that you wish to study in the future.
I agree. You got to take it in parts, and then when you take it in parts, you're able to consume exactly what you're studying, get that, memorized, as you said as well, make it a habit, and then move on to the next part. Definitely, I agree with that. And so, did you do anything to prepare for the cohort? And were those things, outside of class as well? Did you do anything extra to help you be a more, prepared professional when you got done with the course?
Yeah, whenever before I joined Austin Freenet, I already knew that I wanted to take the A+. I had already been studying. I went off. I didn't know about Officer Freenet, so I had already purchased the book. I already read it, and so I had already done some preparation itself. But so if you're a student and you want to prepare a little bit better, start just by Googling the certification. If you're going to start at the ITF level, then definitely just pull up the ITF go to the CompTIA webpage and see what topics are going to be discussed in this book. So you just kind of browse through the subjects, and if there's something that maybe catches your attention or something you don't know, start Googling it. Start asking questions. Start trying to understand the vocabulary words that maybe you're not familiar with. Well, your curiosity is going to take you very, very far. So just by familiarizing yourself with some of the subjects that are going to be presented inside the book will be a good place to start, and then just let your creativity take you from there.
And what about, so and Memo, I want to get your opinion here too. I know you're about to complete the course, I believe. Are you doing anything outside of the actual class to help you finish successfully?
Both John and Andres talked about it. It's those extra moments outside that make the difference. I am very bad, especially I work with computers all day, so my eyes hurt. I don't want to look at a screen anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So my method is old school: get a book, highlight, and go through the thing. But when that isn't an issue, like John mentioned earlier, Professor Messer, they have these online tools that you just put on, hit play, and they're in the background. You might be washing the dishes, you might be cooking, you might be doing something, but that information is in the background, and you slowly start to understand it bit by bit. Before I joined AFN, I used to work with basically social services. I would work with kids that were in special ed, that were involved in criminal justice in some sort. So I did that for over a decade. I enjoyed it, but I saw the writing on the wall that I need something better if I want to travel. I want to see parts of the world. I need something better. Happened, my computer died on me, and that frustrated me.
Oh, man.
And then I saw an AFN thing, so I was like, you know what, let me try it out. I signed up. Lo and behold, 2 years later, I'm able to take a computer apart, put it back together again, and that's what I've been doing for the past year. We've been doing the ASD refurbished program. So when the whole COVID hit, every third grader and up took a Chromebook home, but second grader, first grade, and kindergarten, they were stuck without any devices. So we were trying to fill in that little gap of missing devices by taking computers from the community, refurbishing them, putting Windows 10, putting Office in, and then giving back to the students. So me and Fierro been doing that for the past year. And in 1 year, we got out over 500 computers out to the community. Just, you know.
Wow.
So for me, I like it because I like to tinker. Before I used to take everything apart, but I couldn't put it back together again. Now, thankfully, I got my A+, so I'm able to put it back together and run it. I am currently in the process of working on my network. I took the class already. I just haven't felt comfortable enough to take the test, so I would probably take the test sometime in the summer, and then from then I would jump on to the next class. Will be the security class.
Thank you for that. I do have a question here in chat, and Rashida asks, has any of you used the certification or know anybody who's used the certification to branch out into consultancy work?
I'm not sure. Tanisha would probably be the most likely candidate. Andres or Memo, do you know if Tanisha ever went that route?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where she went as far as her career, but as far as consulting work, no, not to my knowledge. We did have an instructor who went, who was very knowledgeable in IT, but he went in a slightly different direction. He ended up getting his PMP. So like, if you want to like
project management.
Yeah, so once you get once like I said, once you get used to studying and like getting certifications and basically bettering your career, it can become addicting. You know, like for example, every time you pass a certificate, you're like, all right, what's the next best thing? If I get this certificate, how much more would I make?
Exactly.
Then it becomes a game. It's like, well, if I spend 2 months of my life, 3 months of my life studying maybe 10 hours a week or 5 hours a week, X amount of time, and you can literally grow your
Yeah.
career as big as you want it. So one of the certifications is available is the project management, PMP, project management. Basically the PMP, and you can take that almost anywhere. If you have a PMP, you can take that certification anywhere, and it's usually a really well-paying certification. I'm not exactly sure where to start, but without exaggerating, I would say that it would be at least over 60 to 75K per year if you have that.
That's good. And so with that question, what did, well, you know the answer to this, but what did you do upon completion of the cohort? I know, John and Andres, you're not instructors, but what are some, other your other peers, what did they do upon finishing the education here?
For the most part, my most of my peers, like some of them, got their A+, and they received an offer, and they continue just working on that. Where they're at now, we were maybe not that close, so we didn't follow up, but most my one of my other peers that I went to the same class with was Mariano. I believe you got to meet him. He got a Security Plus, and he's just been rolling with that. He was really good at Linux, so he likes to do his own side projects. I myself just obtained my Security Plus certification. So after I got that, I've been looking around what my next move is. So I've been looking into Azure cloud computing environments. There seems to be the industry seems to be going into cloud computing. So so I thought that maybe that would be a good next step. So, like I said, you can choose to go whichever direction that you want, and once you do have your A+, and A+, you definitely have the freedom to do that.
Awesome. And so basically they're telling me once you get that A+, the employer is going to be looking for you. There's not really much of a job hunting experience, but just go ahead and tell us about that experience. Once you finish your certification, what the lens of the job market looked like. How did it change for you?
So the most challenging part is the experience. Almost any job that you're going to apply to, they're always going to overshoot it. They're always going to say we want this much, and the reason being is that it's a negotiation. So they definitely set the bar up this high, so that if you come a little bit under, then this is where the negotiation comes in. So just know that any job that you're going to apply at, they're always going to set the bar really high up. So you want to come as close to the set expectation as possible, and then your communication skill is going to play a big role. If you are able to express yourself or express your intent, that would definitely help, because if you are able to land a job interview and then they say, "Oh, do you have experience?" Like don't start with no. I would say it has been X amount of time that I have been studying. I've been doing this. This is my personality type. This is what I did to go from zero to the knowledge that I have now. I will do the same for you. When I started this program, I didn't know anything, but now I am at this point. Same thing can happen if you give me a chance to work for your company. So this is where your speaking skills might come into play. So I would say the biggest hurdle that you're gonna have is your first job, getting some experience. Everybody wants some experience. So once you get there, that will probably be a conversation for a different time. But there's definitely things you can do to help you in that process.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. You're talking about, conveying the message about, what it is you are skilled at and what you have accomplished, thus far. That's tapping into those soft skills. And so, as I mentioned earlier, Autumn providing, those courses or those different modules, either on our application or with a course once a month. You can definitely tone into those areas and making sure you're learning, the right way to, send your messaging, how to highlight yourself, and how to essentially sell yourself for the role. And those are really important, just as important. They could call them soft skills, but honestly, they sometimes are the hardest part of landing that job, because you have that certification on paper, you have the tech background, you have that either you have the experience or you don't, but it's still then hard to convey why you're the best person for the job. So I'm glad you brought that up. And then all three of you can go down the list, tell us what your plans are for the future.
All right, I guess I'll start. Like I said, I received my Security Plus certification just recently. My next step is to become to get the the fundamentals, Azure fundamentals for cloud computing. Then the next step will be the administrative certificate, which is the next step up for Azure certificates. And once I do receive that, then the next step will probably be to enter some sort of a new position, a new role within the company that would allow me to expand and use those skills. And then I'll probably be hunting for the next certificate and next pay raise, and hopefully keep going from there.
John?
Yeah, similar thoughts and with me as well. I want to definitely, in the same thing with Andres, cloud is the way the world is going and has been for some time now. So it's in our best interest, if you are getting IT related certifications, is to obtain one of those or as many as you can. The Azure, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, and then the Google Cloud are the three big dogs as far as your cloud computing certifications. So I'm not exactly sure which one of those I want to pursue. It's probably either going to be Amazon or Microsoft Azure. And so that would be my next goal. In regards to where that leads me to, I'm not entirely sure. You know, we'll see how things work out with here with Austin Freenet. You never know what the next step for us will be. But I'll definitely want to keep adding to my arsenal, as it were, and augmenting my resume. And like Andres said, it's sort of a little bit of a, you know, if you have the passion, it sort of becomes a little bit of an addiction. You want that next certification. And one thing I just want to add on to this is, once you get your first certification, you feel a sense of relief. And then when you get that next one, the A+, you start to feel like a sense of confidence, and bolsters your confidence. You start to feel a lot more, I wouldn't say aggressive, but you could promote yourself with a lot more confidence, a certain level of assurance and yes, you do have to have experience, but you are literally proving to potential employers that you have learned this information, and you have proven that by testing out. I'll say here, we are teaching the class. Every single student that gets a voucher has to go and take the exam at a third-party testing site, which is, you know, partnership with CompTIA. So once you've received your voucher from us, it's essentially, you're then in CompTIA's hands, and whether you pass or not, it's up to you. But you can then, you know, convey that to employers.
And then Memo?
Same route, basically, these guys, but I'm a couple steps behind. So my next step would be to finish my network, and then jump on security, and then hopefully catch up with these guys. Or I could just say, you know what, I'm just going for my Amazon. I could go for my Azure. That's a good thing about getting your basics. Once you got your basics, you get to pick and choose where you want to go to. But here in Austin, Amazon's here. You know, all the companies are here. So the more certifications you get, the better off you are trying to find a new job somewhere else. I'm not saying that I'm leaving AFN right now, but 3 years down the road, who knows what certifications I have? Who knows what interest I have? I could be into VR. I could be into more network. Who knows? But once I have my basics, then I got something to choose. And like I said, 2 years ago, I didn't have anything. I was criminal justice major, working in social work. IT was just my Xbox. That's all I knew about IT for the most part. I am a gamer, but I'm a console. I'm not a computer gamer. But now I could build you a decent gaming computer just because I've been around Fierro and people like Andres who tell me, okay, try this or try this. That's something I like about this place, because even though somebody knows a lot about a specific technology, somebody might have read the new technologies that just came out, or the new upgrades and all that. So we're always reading what's the new stuff out. We're always geeking out on the new technology. So that's why I like where I'm at right now.
Thank you guys for that. And while you're going down the list, I believe you probably answered Maisa's questions here in the chat. She said, could you please advise on the best certificate in demand that doesn't require a degree? Anyone can tackle that question if you want.
Well, for me, it would be core one or core one, core two. After that, that's the basic, and then you could jump on there. But like Andres said, and also John, Amazon web hosts, big in demand. Azure, which is Microsoft version, big in demand. For those who like Apple, Apple has their own version as well. It just depends on if you like to tinker with the actual computer part or you're happy just with the network in front of the screen. Each person is different, so whatever you really like, I suggest you go down that path.
Yeah.
And also, Maisha, the program, Accelerate program, doesn't require a degree. It's 18 years or above. There's a couple of requirements you meet in terms of being in the need-based program. But essentially, it's open, to everyone. For those who don't have experience, for those who maybe have a little tinkering experience, but it's open. And I do advise you to log on to our website for Autumn, and we can get you started and share more information about how to get involved and Accelerate. And so, as I mentioned, just that, the idea, if you're ready to get started and you maybe, set out some time in your life to go ahead and get these certifications going, I do, encourage everyone to go ahead and join the movement with Autumn. Go to our website, complete that form so we can get all of your information and make sure you're in the community and you're getting information about our soft skills, our events, our volunteering opportunities, getting matched up with a mentor, and then putting you in contact with the Accelerate program. We will go over what we call an automatic agreement, and that's just to make sure, we're holding each other accountable about completing the tools you need to, be more successful, and making sure that you're taking advantage of our resources. And then just also to make sure that, Autumn's in, that we're making sure that we're doing all that we can to be a resource for you as well. And then we would put you in direct contact with the program director over there at Austin Freenet to get you your application for Accelerate. Once you complete the application and you check those boxes that they're looking for, there's an interview and assessment to help them understand where you are and your tech savviness. And then you'll start your course. So we really encourage you to go ahead and log onto our website, fill out that join the movement form, so we can go ahead and get you down these steps so you can get you started on your new certification. Thank you, you guys. I don't see any other questions here in the chat. If you have any questions, this is a great time. This is a great time to go ahead and submit them before we end our session here. But I want to thank, Sky. She is the executive and CEO of Austin Freenet. Jess Ross is their, now program director. I should change that. And then John Fierro, Andres Giraldo, and Memo Espinoza. Thank you for joining us here on our conversation today. It's been really insightful. I've even learned a couple of things that I thought I knew that you clarified for me. So I appreciate your conversation and your just information and overall expertise and experience in all things AFN. And so, if you have any last words before we continue on?
I just want to say thank you for having us here for this meeting. I'm glad we were able to reach some people and clarify or provide some direction. I do hope that you guys make smart decisions and invest in your career. Like I said, a little bit here, a little bit there adds a long way. Will Smith likes to put the analogy, if you lay one brick as perfectly as you can lay it one day at a time, soon you will have a wall. So just trying to build a good foundation here so that way you can have a strong, big wall that basically defines your achievements later down the line.
That's a great way to end it. And so you guys, everybody join us for our next cohort series on Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. We'll be talking about our advanced manufacturing program, and that's under our certified production technician program. So if you're interested in learning about those semiconductors and how to put all those different chips inside your phones and anything dealing with that, that'll be a great conversation to have with Skill Point Alliance on Wednesday, March 17th from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on Facebook Live. And don't forget about our main event on Rethink Austin. It will be Saturday, March 20th from 1 to 3 p.m. For those of you who know, we had our Rethink Austin past years in person during that South by Southwest time. Because of COVID, we had to switch our whole day event into a virtual setting. So now we're switching it up a little bit because we know everybody's going to be doing virtual, and that virtual is now kind of the default in terms of programming until things are a little bit safer out there. But we want to make sure we hone in on those conversations. Basically getting our partners, our organizations like Austin Freenet, our DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion advocates, and leaders everywhere, as well as our, our corporate partners, to come together, have conversations about really the impact of DEI, what it's meant to the tech space, and what can we be doing now moving forward. That we know how COVID has literally highlighted what the failures and the gaps are right now in society in terms of the tech space. What can we really do to start working on that? And like I said in the beginning, make access to technology a standard for everyone. So if you're interested in having a conversation and working on those action items, we want you to join us on Saturday, March 20th from 1 to 3 p.m. The Eventbrite link is below, but you can, when you go to Eventbrite, if you search Rethink Austin, look for the orange and blue flyer right there, literally on the top of the list. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you Wednesday. And if not Wednesday, we'll see you on Saturday. If you have any other questions, like I said, join us on join the movement on autumntx.org and get us started with certification programs. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us.